I'm sitting on the patio today enjoying a beautiful spring day. We got some much needed rain. The temperatures are nice and cool. It's just a gorgeous day out here. It's one of those days where you just can't help but come outside and enjoy the beautiful day. But I started thinking, how often do we do that? How often do we take time to just enjoy the day, to sit outside and enjoy listening to the birds, looking at the beautiful gardens that we've created? How often do we feel the pressure to constantly keep going and actually feel guilty when we don't? Today's episode is going to focus on seasons and how we can equate those seasons to our own personal growth. Welcome back to Rooted and Refined. Let's start with the idea of always having to be productive, this always on mentality. If we slow down, we're falling behind, we'll never meet our goals, we'll never succeed, we'll never get there. We always have to be going, constantly on. What does that do to our mental state? Have we programmed ourselves to never be able to sit down and enjoy the day, enjoy the things around us? If we're constantly rushing towards something, are we refined or are we exhausted? High performance without rest isn't sustainable. It's a recipe for disaster. So let's talk about how that equates into the 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall. If we tie that concept back to the garden, we can think about spring and summer. That's the time of year that our plants are growing. They're constantly using the energy that they've stored throughout the winter to push new growth, put on blooms, be spectacular. But the garden also knows that there's a season for rest and renewal. Winter in the garden is a period of rest. Even the evergreen plants aren't producing new growth in the winter. They're storing their energy in their roots in preparation of when they'll need that energy, when they'll need to grow. Our plants understand that they can't constantly produce all the time. When spring rolls around, plants wake up and they start to use some of that energy to produce new growth. But even in the spring, they're not at their full capacity. Plants don't start to get going until the summertime, when they start really ramping up, using that energy, blooming, producing lots of new growth. Everything looks great and the plants become exactly what they were meant to be. When fall comes around, plants know that their season of rest is approaching, and so they'll start to slow down. They're still working, they'll stop growing, but they aren't resting yet. They might lose some leaves or stop producing flowers as they prepare for their rest period. It's easy to think of the growth cycle of plants with each season, but what about with us? How can the 4 seasons help us reach our stride, but still know when to rest when it's time? Although our seasons aren't quite as linear as the seasons that plants experience, we can still use those same lessons within our own lives to help us reach growth and refinement. We can use the same concept of those seasons when we think about our personal growth. Winter is a time of rest, reflection, learning. Spring is all about renewal, growth, the promise of what's to come. Summer is where we're really hitting our stride. We're hustling. All of that rest and preparation that we did in the winter is paying off. We're reaching our goals. We feel like we're getting somewhere. And fall is when we cut back what no longer serves us in preparation for our next rest. And no, our seasons might not always look so linear. We might not always be able to have a period of rest and then a slow wake up before we ramp up and really hit our stride and meet those goals. The goal isn't a linear structured pattern. The goal is to make sure that you're not forcing yourself into a summer when you clearly need a winter. The goal is to make sure that you understand where you are at any given point. And if you're in a high production mode and you have to meet a deadline and you have to keep going and keep going and keep going, to not crash and burn before you get there. Give yourself the space and permission to be where you need to be. It's okay to be in a quiet season. Being quiet does not mean being lazy. It means being measured. It means giving yourself the space that you need to be the best that you can be. Let's use work as an example. How many times have you been given a project and you've completed it and you've done well and you've been given another one and you've completed it and you've done well and you've been given another one, and then before you can complete that one, you get another one? So now you've got two projects and you're a high performer. You want to make sure that those projects get completed on time and to the best of your ability. Of course you do, it's your job. But how do you do that? How do you juggle those two projects and make sure that they both get the same attention that they deserve without sacrificing one or the other? Without even knowing it, you're using those seasons as a lesson. You're looking at each project systematically, and maybe for one project, you're taking some time to learn about something. At the same time, that second project has had a period of rest. Now you're ready to pick that project back up and really run with it, really hit your stride with it. It's your summer season for that project. By approaching the two projects that way, you're better able to ensure that they both get completed to the best of your ability. If you try to do them both at the same time and hurry up, meet that deadline, just get this done, something's going to suffer, whether it's the projects themselves or whether it's your mental health as you get them done. It's easy to use work as an example of that. We don't always get to pick and choose what we do at work or have the luxury to be able to say no to a second, third, fourth, fifth project. But what about outside of work? What's one thing that you can do to help increase your refinement? Well, I've spent this whole episode talking about how it's okay to give yourself permission to be in a season of rest. It's okay to give yourself permission to be in a season of production. It's okay to hit your stride and keep going if that's where you need to be at that particular moment. The key is being mindful to know what you need and giving yourself the permission and the space to do it. Maybe you've been in a season of winter for a really long time and you're ready to reclaim your spring, but you're just not quite sure of that first step to take to get there. Maybe it's starting a new hobby. Maybe it's taking a walk outside. Whatever you need to do to reclaim your spring is what you do. You don't let anybody else tell you what you need. You do what you need. Or maybe the opposite is true. Maybe you've been in a season of summer for so long. You've been running, trying to get to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and you're hitting a wall and you can't stop. You can't figure out how to take a step back, enjoy a fall where you start to wind down. So what are some things that we can do when we are in each season to help us progress to the next one, to help us stay rooted and refined as we go through this journey? Comment below and tell me what you do. When you're in a season of summer, but you know that it's not serving you well and you have to slow down, what do you do? When we learn to identify where we are and what we need to do to get to the next step, we become more grounded, rooted, and refined. Comment below and tell me what season you're in and what are you doing to honor that season? Are you saying no to new projects? Are you starting a new hobby? What do you do to give yourself the space you need to grow? Thank you for spending some time with me today. Until next time, stay rooted, stay refined, and I'll see you soon.